Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks.
Where's the Sunday? Perfection is a work in progress.
Thank you very much. I am your host, Sam, and unfortunately, our GM couldn't make it tonight. We hope everything is going okay with him. Of course, we have with us, as always, Football Jesus, here to give a beautiful sermon, I hope.
Oh, you know me. I just come with the facts, the wonderful wonderment that is football on Saturdays, Sundays, and sometimes Thursdays. But I'm more excited to be here with you guys on the last week of the season.
But never on Mondays. I understand.
No, I don't do Mondays.
I'm
like Garfield.
Of course, we have ourselves the QB coach. How you doing tonight?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing good. Really looking forward to the season finally ending, getting to the playoffs. And then we have back with us our little insider. How you doing tonight?
Well, busy. Hey, control. I don't know what's going.
Okay. I think he's malfunctioning.
Because of my workers.
Because of his workers.
Because they don't know which button they press.
Okay. Didn't know he had workers. Where are you getting money to pay workers?
No, it's for free.
It's for free. They're interns.
Oh, nice.
Interns, yes, interns.
Well,
do you press that button? I don't know which button.
A lot of things happened this week.
The big green button.
A lot of things happened. Gotcha. A lot of things happened this week to create some turmoil in the NFL this year. The end of the year, man. We got 3 teams vying for the NFC South. We got 3 teams vying for the AFC South. And then, of course, there's the Eagles, who laid an egg last week when they could have pretty much locked away the division. They lost to the Arizona Cardinals. I got to ask, because they have been a bit on a skid, are they in trouble?
I'll start this off. I'm going to say yes. I mean, when you lose 4 of 5 during the NFL season, if this was any other team, we would say bat down the hatches. They're either going to start trading players or firing coaches or XYZ. But on paper, they should be one of the best teams in the NFL. They still have a winning record. They still have a great QB. They still have a great coach, great weapons, everything. But I'm in the boat that this ship is sinking. This is not a good look heading into the last week of the season, let alone the playoffs, for a team like this. And now you're starting to see a couple injuries pop their heads. So I'm on the one that's getting off of the Eagles bandwagon and finding somebody else to root for the NFC.
So I don't know if I was necessarily rooting for them, nor did I think that they were the best team. I've always been more on the San Francisco side, but I'm not worried about the Eagles. I don't think they're going to go all the way, but I think that they still could. And I think A.J. Brown's comments are pretty telling today, I think it was, or maybe yesterday. He's got a lot of faith in his coach. I don't think anybody's getting fired. And if you remember, they have the same streak that the Ravens had the last time they won the Super Bowl. They lost 4 out of their last 5 going into it, right? And they took home the trophy. So I'm not worried about them. They're still getting in the playoffs. They just got to get their stuff together. They just lost to the Cardinals, which the Cardinals had a pretty good game. They do that occasionally. They have those wow games that nobody expects, and the Eagles gave up way too many yards on defense. So Hurts is not helping them right now too much, but the defense is really where they need to fix it.
I'm of the opinion that, yeah, they're struggling right now. Maybe they will be in trouble when they get into the playoffs. But I recall back in the mid-2000s, mid-2010s, the Arizona Cardinals, the year they went to the Super Bowl, they went on. I think they won 13 straight and then lost 3 at the very end of the season. And everybody thought, oh no, Kurt Warner and the Arizona Cardinals are gonna lose first round of the playoffs. They're in a free fall, and they rattled off a bunch of points, got to the Super Bowl, lost, of course, in the Super Bowl to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm wondering if that might not be the same thing that happens here. Yeah, they might be the 5th seed. I think Dallas is going to beat the Commanders. I don't doubt that could happen, especially with Sam Howell behind as quarterback. I don't know that they're going to struggle as much in the playoffs because once you get that first win in the playoffs, you get a little momentum. And depending on who you play in the second round, they could absolutely go on a run in the playoffs and make it back to the Super Bowl. We'll have to see. I think they'll be okay. First round at least, but who knows? Speaking of who knows, let's take a look at the standings currently for us. Let's take a gander.
Man,
Big week for me. Jessica, a little bit of a drop off.
Oh, yeah.
Just a wee bit behind. You're only 3 back though. You could catch him.
Yeah,
What?
those
What
two
about
games that you
me?
changed at the last minute there, Jess.
Huh? Yeah.
You're making a heck of a comeback. If there was 3 more weeks, I think you could catch Tarek. But this is the last week, so
That's
You can always
me.
get him in the playoffs, Sammy.
you can catch her in the playoffs. You can beat him in the playoffs.
Yeah, I made some last minute bad calls there.
That's okay.
We all do. It's fine.
It worked out well for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a pretty good week.
I did. I was the only one. I was the only one to pick the Saints. I was the only one to pick another team that won. I can't remember who it was, but
Yeah, my heels are getting hot. My heels are getting nipped at. I got to try and make some distance this week.
yeah. Although I would have loved to have picked the Arizona Cardinals to beat the Philadelphia Eagles last week. That would have. I was watching. I was watching like the ESPN Gamecast where it just shows what they're doing.
Dad,
Yes,
I mean,
am I in front?
you are in last,
Sorry.
but that's okay.
I mean, did we not talk about though the potential of the Eagles losing to the Cardinals was there last week? I mean,
The potential's always there,
but no one saw that. I mean, the Eagles' defense did, like you said, didn't play very well, but also their defense got a pick six, like a 98-yard pick six last week. So their offense didn't put up 34 points. Their offense put up, what is
31.
that, 47 or 30. So they put up just barely
31
over
points
22 points.
could be enough to win a game if it's a balanced team.
Sure, but when 7 of those points are attributed to the defense doing that, then
Yeah.
So
say-
24 points should be enough. I still think that should be enough. If your defense is playing average or better, I think that should be enough. Most teams aren't going out there scoring 30 points, especially the Cardinals. Their average, what is their average? Probably like 7. Like they probably have a low average per game.
I apologize any Cardinals fans
I
that
don't think
watch
so,
this.
Jess. I think they have a pretty decent average as far as points go. Points per game. Let's see. Team. Well, they're averaging 20 points per game. So
Okay, so
That's more than 7.
More than
even
7.
even if Philadelphia's defense hadn't scored at all, that offense would have been enough to win.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know if that was the Cardinals just wanting to play spoilers or if it was just the Eagles dropping a bomb. But let's get on to our picks of the week.
Yeah, you might as well flip it on over.
Yeah.
We-
Let's
Well-
get to the QB coach. What
the game of the week this week is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the New York Giants. The Giants are already out of the playoffs. Not really a surprise there. But the Eagles are having some maybe notable injuries. I know Devontae Smith did not practice, but I'm not sure if they're going to put in all their starters or not. Either way, I'm picking the Eagles. I don't think it's going to be a very exciting game. But like I said, I think the defense needs to step it up in this one. I think the defense is probably going to have a much bigger game I think Tyrod Taylor might be the one starting. Is Daniel Jones coming back this week?
No. It's
No,
still
okay.
Tyrod.
Well then, I mean Tyrod Taylor is a good backup, but he is prone to throwing interceptions because he does take risks. But with that being said, I think the Philadelphia Eagles defense might get some momentum with that. At least have one pick. I don't know about pick six, but I think it's not even going to be a close game. I think the defense gets a little mojo. I think Brown gets back in the game. Hurts looks a little bit better, and this is more of like a momentum builder, like a practice kind of thing going for them.
So I'll only start off with saying I am picking the Philadelphia Eagles in this game, but I do see this as a game where the Eagles are going to be scoreboard watching, and if they see Dallas go up in their game, they're going to start pulling starters because ultimately what the Eagles are playing their starters for in this game is if by some chance Dallas loses, Philly has a chance to regain their division and have that number 2 seed in the NFC. If Dallas gets out by a large margin, then Philly may wind up pulling their starters, which I think is the only chance the Giants really have in this game. As Jess alluded to, Devontae Smith is not practicing. So if Philly does play their starters for 4 quarters, it gives the Giants defense a little bit more wiggle room to double cover A.J. Brown, because I don't believe any other of the receivers on the Eagles are good enough to take advantage of that one-on-one like Devontae Smith could. So I'm going with the Eagles in this one, but I would not be surprised if somewhere like late third, early fourth, the Eagles pull their starters and just say, we're going to try and keep everybody healthy going into the playoffs.
Who did you pick in this one? This one, my little insider?
Eagles.
The Eagles. Can you tell us why? Okay. Big words.
Because they're birds?
No.
No.
Picked them because they're a better team. Yeah. I have the Eagles in this one too. I mean, they have that shot of getting the number 2 seed, of course, getting the division win. But you guys think it's going to be a blowout. I have this one as being really, really close because it's divisional. The Giants love playing spoilers. So we're going to see what happens, especially with the Eagles' struggles recently. I mean, they may struggle in this one. Maybe they come into this one thinking Dallas probably got the win. You know, they'll keep it close for a little bit, whatever, and Dallas up big or whatever, and they just drop everybody, and the Giants win. So we'll see what happens. I think the Eagles win. I do think they play all their players. I think they play them all the way through to at least the fourth quarter. But I look for this one to be actually kind of close. So
the Eagles coach has said that even regardless, he might start the game with his second string. He might sit his starters, but we won't know until game time.
I think that's bait because Dak Prescott could come down with a case of the icks and not play for Dallas.
But it's the Commanders.
But still, is Cooper Rush still the backup in Dallas? Do you think he's going to be able to lead them to a win?
I mean, he's done it before.
Oh, he can.
He can, but his numbers are not indicative of that. It was the defense playing out of their mind on his starts.
And it's either Cooper Rush or it's Trey Lance, okay? It's one of the two.
Okay, well, hold on.
No, I would take Cooper Rush on that one because when Cooper Rush did play, he actually did look good. For a few games. I don't think he's got like a whole season in him, but he could have a miracle game.
He could. All right. Let's get to our next game of the week. And we have football, Jesus. Give us that gospel, sir.
Speaking of miracles, both of these teams that I picked are going to need one potentially going to the last week of the season. I have picked the Houston Texans going into Indianapolis to face the Colts. Now, this is one of those teams that Sam alluded to. There is a 3-way tie in this division for first place with these two teams and the Jacksonville Jaguars. These two teams play on Saturday night, so the winner of this game is going to be sitting back and waiting for the final score of the Jaguars-Tennessee game. The loser goes home. I love win and in, loser goes home games. This feels like a big fight, like a big boxing match. The odds-on favorite rookie of the year, C.J. Stroud, going up against a guy that we kind of wrote off in Gardner Minshew as a backup quarterback, but he's played decently well since Anthony Richardson went on IR with that season-ending shoulder surgery. So what do I look like? What do I look at in this game? Jonathan Taylor looks back to form since coming back from that thumb injury. He's getting yards after first contact. The offensive line is playing well. And Michael Pittman is healthy after that scary hit that he took. CJ Stroud is back after missing 2 games with a concussion, and there's no replacing him in this offense. And that's really the only key that I see here. That CJ Stroud is playing. So I have the Houston Texans in this game. But I think this is going to be a very close one because both of these teams understand that this is it for them. It's win or go home. And I see this game being absolute Dynamax fireworks on Saturday Night Football.
I think it's going to be a really good game also. I do think the Indianapolis Colts get a slight advantage that I wouldn't have given them such a small margin to lose by. I am picking the Houston Texans. But with them being at home, I do get them within 3 points. I think it's going to be a last second field goal that wins this game. But yeah, CJ Stroud's been playing amazing. And now that he's back, good for them. Like he came back at the right time. They did a good job of shutting down the Titans when they were looking a little bit like on a roll there. So the defense is playing pretty well. I am going with the Texans by 3.
Who did you pick in this game, bud? The Colts or the Texans?
Tied.
Who did you pick to win?
Mm.
He's calling the tie. I heard it.
Colts.
He did. He picked the Colts. Now, what's funny is this is probably most people would think before the season this is probably one of the worst divisions in the NFL, and you're going to have 3 teams that finish over 500. 3. No matter what, every single one, Houston, Indy, Jacksonville, they all have 9 wins already. So, here's where I run into a problem with this game. Indianapolis is coming into this game. They need a win, and they can still get in if they lose, but they would need a lot of help. Houston, if they win, they're in. That's the only way they get in. They have to win. The problem is Houston is missing its top defensive end. He's out for the game. They're missing one of their top receivers, and Noah Brown, gone for the game. He's out. I think Indianapolis is going to run the ball, knowing that defensive end is out. They're going to have a little bit extra time in the backfield. But I got Houston winning this. I got Houston pulling the big upset here with all them injuries and getting to the playoffs in a year that everybody thought they were going to be picking in the top 5. It's going to be an exciting game. I'm really looking forward to this. Saturday Night Football. I'm going to be home. I'm actually going to be watching this game. It's going to be awesome. So, Houston pulls a win. And now we get into our Insiders game of the week. Sammy, what is your game of the week?
Well, Weaving the Steelers. So I picked the Weaving because I know they're winning, because I know they're legendary bus. They already lose the first time in a while.
Yeah, they did lose to them once already. Yeah. Now, are they mythical birds or legendary birds?
Legendary.
Legendary.
Mythical? What's mythical?
Mythical?
Mythical.
No?
I don't know what mythical means.
Anyway, so you're picking the Ravens. Okay. Hard to argue with that, right? But I'm going to do it anyway. I think with the Ravens sitting everybody in the Steelers in desperate need of a win to get in, I think the Steelers eke out a victory in Baltimore, but it's more so because the Steelers need it more than the Ravens do. The Ravens could absolutely beat them with their backups. Could absolutely happen. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I have the Steelers winning in a low-scoring game, like 17-13.
So I feel like isn't TJ Watt out?
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure I heard that he was out, but I absolutely agree that the Ravens can beat them with their second string. And yes, the Steelers need it, but that's not going to stop the Ravens from playing hard. I think because it's the Steelers and the Ravens and the Steelers have both notorious attitudes and passion, especially against each other and divisional rivals. So I think that the second string is going to play pretty not lights out, but pretty well. They've looked good. Tyler Huntley is a great backup quarterback, and he fits in our scheme really well. I am taking the Ravens second string over the Pittsburgh Steelers.
TJ Watt is not listed as out.
Oh,
I am going to agree with Jessica on this one, mainly because the Steelers defense is ranked 18th in the league right now in rushing per game. This is going to be Melvin Gordon's game to return to form. Steelers are giving up an average 115.8 yards per game on the ground, and I think this is going to be the game where Melvin Gordon gets 15 to 20 carries right up the gut, where he's going to just run the clock out, and Tyler Huntley is going to do what he needs to do with the football. Not anything spectacular, not anything crazy, but do just enough to get the win because, I mean, the Steelers' offense has looked better in recent weeks since they've switched to Mason Rudolph, but they haven't played great defenses or great defensively coached teams in Cincinnati, who lost Jamar Chase in that game, and Seattle Seahawks, who have been probably the most hot and cold team in my mind this season.
What about the Atlanta Falcons?
That's a home away team that I'm not going to mention. So I'm going with the Ravens in this one, but I agree with that 17-13 score that Sam mentioned. I think it's going to be close, but I think it's going to be a grinded out, hand the ball off type day for the Ravens, where the Steelers are going to have to pass and try the backup secondary because all of the Ravens are sitting like all of their starters.
All right. With that being said, let's get to my game of the week. And my game of the week is the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Tennessee Titans.
it's nice that you flipped it to remind yourself.
I did.
Some of us could really use that.
I know.
Jaguars.
But I wasn't originally intending on doing a game of the week. If Tarek was going to be here. You picked the Jaguars? He picked the Jaguars. He picked the Jaguars. They are not a bird, mister.
Excuse me.
They're not
Well,
a
neither
bird.
are the Titans.
Winning.
No yelling. They are winning.
And I usually knew that.
I have this. This is an interesting game because Trevor Lawrence is not guaranteed to play in this game right now. His ankle is still bothering him. He really wants to get out there and play this game, I'm sure, but his coach may hold him out. And with Willis out in Tennessee, I think Ryan Tannehill is in this game. Will Levis.
Willis Levis.
He's probably going to be out too in this game, and I think Ryan Tannehill, knowing he's going somewhere else next year, not going to be here this year, guess what he's going to want to do? He's going to want to impress some people. So I think he's going to go out there and throw the ball. I think Derrick Henry is going to run, get a couple touchdowns. I got Tennessee winning this one. In a shocker.
Yeah, I think that would be a real shocker. I don't see that happening. I am taking the Jags by a touchdown. So Tennessee is 0-5 against, like, just straight up against divisional opponents. And in their last game, they scored 3 points. So, and then with Will Levis being banged up, I'll take the Jaguars for a more complete team that actually needs this win. Whereas Titans are out of it. So I'm going with the Jags by 7 to 10.
So as of right now, I'm agreeing with Jess. I'm picking the Jaguars if Trevor Lawrence plays. If Trevor Lawrence does not play, I will be switching this pick to the Tennessee Titans because, as Sam mentioned, Ryan Tannehill still has enough left in the tank to go play somewhere else. But someone else he mentioned is also a potential salary cap or just casualty of this team is Derrick Henry. He is going to want to get one of those, Derrick Henry-esque runs where he runs for 99 yards and shoves 18 dudes and the referee out of the way to get to the end zone. And I still think at age 29, 30, he still has a lot left in the tank as an NFL running back. So I wouldn't count Tennessee out of this game. Yes, they have looked horrendous this year. They looked horrendous last week. But I don't believe in CJ Beathard as a quarterback for the Jaguars in a must-win game for the franchise. So if Trevor Lawrence plays, Jaguars. If CJ Beathard is the starting quarterback for that team, I'm going with the Titans.
Another thing to note, the Jaguars have won one game in the past 6 weeks. One. Against the Panthers.
That's not saying much.
They've lost to the Bengals. They've lost to the Browns, the Ravens, the Buccaneers.
Okay, but you just named some pretty good teams.
Pretty good teams. But a lot of those teams absolutely took them to the woodshed, including the Buccaneers. Took them to the woodshed.
Okay, that I would say is one of the most hot and cold quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield is hot or cold, and I don't know. Was he hot on that game? I don't know.
Jessica loves the Baker's boy.
No, I don't.
Big fan of the Baker's boy. Yeah, he was okay that game. All right. Let's get on to our Pop Panel Pick'ems, which is brought to you by
Arbok
Concepts.
Inc.
Yep. More than just a sign shop. Get them up in Westminster for all of your sign and decal needs. Let's take a gander at what we got here. I am the only one that picked Pittsburgh. However, 2 people picked the Colts.
And 2 people picked the Browns.
2 people picked the Browns.
Well, he might not know.
He might not know, which means it could change.
Yeah.
I will talk to him about that later.
And
so,
also,
did
the
you
same
know
thing with the Lions.
that Joe Flacco is not the starting quarterback of the Browns this week?
Their 5th starting quarterback this season, and they're in the playoffs, which is insane.
Yeah, and like all he needs is like 90 yards or something crazy, like low to get on to beat Johnny Manziel.
Mm-hmm. And he's like what, 6, 7 games?
I don't even think it's been that many. I think it's been like 4.
The only game on here that gives me concern is the Lions game.
Yes.
Because they could very well pull one of that where they just don't start their starters because they're in the 3 seed. But
they're in the 3 seed. They could get the 2. Dan Campbell did come out and say his starters are playing.
Right, but again, if Dallas gets out to are they what time does their game play?
They're early game.
They're an early game. Okay, yeah.
I think.
Joe Flacco has started with the Browns. His first start was week 13. So this will be his 5th game.
So in 4 games, yeah. Yeah, the Lions game, it's like, does the 2 seed really do anything for the Lions? Does the 3 seed, is the difference really there that much? So that's the only one on here that gave me any trepidation on that pick.
Yeah, but that coach is unhinged in a good way for the most part. But
Dan Campbell absolutely could.
Yeah.
Should 100% win coach of the year.
I don't know because you got Houston's coach too.
And also John Harbaugh. I mean, what is it with you and John Harbaugh?
It has nothing to do with John Harbaugh. It's everyone expects the Ravens to do well. The Ravens are a efficiently run team. You expect the Ravens to be.
I 1,000% disagree with that because literally they did not start saying the Ravens were the best team until after we beat San Francisco.
No, that's fine. But when you think of the Lions, what do you think of? You think of the 0-16 team. You think of the game that you laugh about on Thanksgiving, and you think of the team that is awful, the worst team in the NFL for the last 20 years.
And 0-16
because they're the most improved he should be the coach of the year, not because they're the best coached team. I disagree. I think it should be John Harbaugh.
An 0-16 team that had Dan Campbell on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He was the tight end.
That's what I'm saying, though. When you take a team that was the laughing stock, you trade for a quarterback that's no longer wanted where he was. You give them, your star quarterback, and you take that dingy toy that the other team doesn't want, Jared Goff, and you polish him up, and you give him a good offensive line, and give him some weapons. You put some good coaches in around him, and you essentially turn this team into what are they, 11-4?
But that's the thing, though, is historically they don't have offensive weapons and they don't have a good defense to hold the team. This year they had a good defense because they had good defensive players and they had offensive players added to the team that they could actually use. So Goff was able to throw the ball and they were able to run the ball. It doesn't necessarily mean,
I just say, if I had a vote, which I totally should, ESPN write me, I would vote Dan Campbell as head coach of the year.
I would be voting the coach of the Houston Texans. They went from a horrible team last year with the second pick in the draft to possibly in the playoffs with a team that nobody thought was going to.
I would pick Houston over Detroit for sure. Let me let that be.
Y'all are just haters. Move to the next one. We can talk while she's not here.
Go to the next one. I am the only one to pick the Titans. Jessica's the only one to pick the Jets. I feel as though Bill Belichick's going to get a win in his last game as a coach of the.
Yeah, no, that one's definitely subject to change.
Especially with the fact that the Jets are not starting their second string quarterback. They're on a different quarterback now.
Yeah, the whole Bill Belichick going out on his sword instead of his shield was the only reason why I picked the Patriots.
Well, I mean, Bill Belichick against New York teams in general, I usually don't pick against. So the chance, just for that reason, I'm probably going to change it. But,
I would expect nothing less.
And as Sam mentioned earlier, the three-way tie for the NFC South with the Atlanta professional football team that may or may not be avian, the New Orleans Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If the Buccaneers win, it's their division. If they somehow lose to the Carolina Panthers and the 14 fans that will be in attendance of that game, then it's a complete toss-up. And I cannot wait because there's nothing more in this world that I want than Tampa Bay to lose that and then have the NFL statisticians have to sit back and compare, well, who won more games on at 427 on Sundays versus this between all three of these just god-awful teams.
So here is the breakdown of who will win the division if, say, Tampa Bay loses. If the Saints win, they win the division. That's what it is. And I believe if the Falcons win, they would win the division.
Mm-hmm.
So,
get out of that kitchen.
Okay, I won't go in the kitchen.
It's for your own good.
Thank goodness. I can't cook.
That's why I love this time of the year. One of the smartest decisions the NFL ever made was make the last couple of weeks divisional games.
Yeah.
And this right here, now granted, no one wants to see their favorite team in a three-way tie at the last week of the season, because if this was like the Baltimore Ravens, I'd be a neurotic mess. Like, why are we here? What did we do wrong? Et cetera, et cetera. But all three of these teams.
It has happened to the Ravens, though. I mean, like, there have been plenty. I mean, this division is always very close. So, or, typically. So, in some cases, it comes down to a tie and tiebreaker, unfortunately.
God, and if the Georgia team and the Saints tie, just give me the juice.
What's funny is
no ties.
New Orleans can still get in the playoffs even if the Buccaneers win.
Yeah, the outside shot of everything at this point in the year.
Well, if they win, Seattle and Green Bay loses, then New Orleans is win. Let's move on to the next slide. I am the only person to pick Jared Stidham and the Broncos.
I'm not. That one could change for me.
No. They're going to blow up that entire offense, so they're going to see what, broom closet, dustpan engineer they've got back there and lace up his cleats and put him out there and see if he's worth anything before they start spending money and cutting people this offseason.
I feel like they have Jared Stidham in there, and they want to see what he can do with that offense against a team with a decent defense.
I'm not as worried about or concerned about him. I feel like this could almost be because Russell Wilson wasn't really doing all that much, honestly.
Yeah.
Even when they were winning games, he wasn't looking like he was on fire. So really, if they've got a time management guy that can throw the ball okay, they have good enough receivers. So they could win. They absolutely could. But Crosby is the scariest person on the planet. So
I heard the Cowboy is pretty good with time management.
The Cowboys?
Towel boy.
Oh, the Cowboy. I'm just gonna buy Jess a Max Crosby jersey in the offseason that she can wear.
I think I would absolutely wear his. He's like, I love the defensive monsters, and that is him.
She loves them defensive monsters.
Monsters. Now, the only problem I have with that game is I feel like with all of the drama that's coming out about the Russell Wilson thing, like how as another player who is like, okay, Russell Wilson's my quarterback, that's our leader, that's our captain. How can you have any faith in the coach at that point? Like, are you really going to dive for a loose ball? Because
the coach is Sean Payton, and from what I've heard, he's very hard on his players, and he expects a lot of them. And so,
but you also Russell Wilson. We all understand. Sure, his numbers aren't like he was in Seattle, but it's a completely different offensive scheme out there, and you're just going to say, okay, well, you don't adapt after the first year, we're going to cut you. I don't know.
Well, when Sean Payton came in, he made it clear that Russell Wilson was not the guy that he chose. And if it was not going to work out, if he was not going to do the work and give the results, he was going to be gone.
Well, I feel bad for Tarek and the rest of the Broncos fans for what they're going to have to sit through next year, where they have a full season of Jarrett Stidham, probably Tyrod Taylor, and some other quarterback that they're going to rotate through, trying to find someone on their way to a 4-13 season.
Listen, I think even Tyrod Taylor, if he had played this whole season, they would maybe have more wins than they have now.
Whoa, hold on. No, hold on.
Yep.
Tyrod Taylor, first off, Tyrod Taylor is in New York.
Okay. Yes, I know.
He is, but I'm saying in the offseason, when he probably gets, cut and thinks he can go make money somewhere else and potentially be a starter, Denver could be a landing spot for him.
I don't think he'll ever actually be a starter, long term. But
no, because he's the worst player that has worse luck. I mean, he got injured. That gave way to Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. He got his lung punctured in Los Angeles. That led the way for Justin Herbert. So maybe the Broncos want to bring him in. So the next guy they have sitting behind him is going to be the savior of the franchise.
But like I said earlier, he is a good quarterback. He's a great backup quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's good enough for the Denver Broncos. He's going to play at the same level as Russell Wilson.
That's not saying much. It's the Denver Broncos.
And it's Russell Wilson. Look at him this year. Watch his throws. They're not that good.
I think he's got better stats than Mahomes this year.
Yes, but watch those throws. That's not Mahomes. That's the people dropping the ball.
All right, let's get on the last set. I'm the only one to pick the Rams. Now, mind you, both of them are benching their starting quarterbacks.
Yeah, we're winning.
Yeah, it's Carson Wentz versus Sam Darnold, the matchup that we all want to see.
Yep.
Which one is Carson Wentz on? Is he at San Francisco?
He's the Rams.
Oh, thank God, I'm sticking with San Francisco.
You think Sam Darnold is better than them?
I will never pick Carson Wentz ever again in anything.
Man, that's a Super Bowl win.
Yeah, and I had him in my fantasy league the year after that.
I mean, at that clip, Carson Wentz and Tyrod Taylor have the same amount of Super Bowl rings.
It's not about the rings. It's about how they throw. And watch how they throw the ball.
Honestly, it's what team do you think is better depth-wise? And it's just...
Yeah, and is it the second string? I don't know.
And then, of course, the very last game, the Buffalo-Miami game that determines the division and can knock Buffalo out of the playoffs if they lose.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I would love it to be Buffalo, I don't think it will be.
My biggest thing is Miami lost their star pass rusher, Bradley Chubb, unfortunately, last week to a torn ACL. He's probably going to be out all of next season, too. But as Sam just said, it's literally win or nothing for Buffalo. They are going to do everything physically possible. They're going to scratch, claw, stab, bite, pinch every single inch that they can get to win this game. And I don't think Miami has enough currently at
I agree. But Miami has also been waiting for this for so long, too, that and with McDaniels or whatever, I think they actually have a good shot at this.
A not 100% Jalen Waddle, a not 100% Tyreek Hill. Raheem Mostert's potentially not going to start. They lost Bradley Chubb.
I mean, the Buffalo Bills still have plenty that are out.
I'm not taking a Miami team where Robbie Chosen Anderson is your wide receiver 1.
Yeah, listen, Buffalo, even if they lose, can still make the playoffs. Pittsburgh would have to lose, or Jacksonville would have to lose, or Houston and Indianapolis would have to end in a tie like this one predicted.
What?
The T word.
So they still got paths to the playoffs, even if they lose. But I still think they go down there and they just handle business.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're the big kid in the division. The Dolphins are definitely the little brother.
Yeah, once the Buffalo offense started involving Gabriel Davis again, that kind of unlocks their potential, I feel like. So I see this one not being close.
All right.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
As Sammy said, leave your comments down below. Do you think Football Jesus can finally win one? Is he going to lose it and wind up right in the bottom like last year? Is Jess right like she always is?
If I'm going to win,
is Sammy going to take first place? Who knows? Let us know down below. There's a lot of flip-flop games this week. Tell us who you picked. Tell us why we're wrong. We'd love to hear from you. Guys, thank you so much for 18 weeks of viewership. We really can't thank you enough. We really do enjoy doing this. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. And for the last time during the regular season, I'm Football Jesus.
I'm Jessica.
You're who? You're an interrupting cow?
I'm Sam.
Moo.
I'm Sam.
I'm Moo.
And
I'm Big Sam. And you have a great football week.
You're Mr. Cow. Moo.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
I got you.